Alrighty, good morning, folks. Good morning, good afternoon. Today we are looking at Genghis Khan, the Mongols, and the reopening of the Silk Road. So you have your review for bell work here. Make sure we're getting that done. As at this point, I'm not really sure where we're going as far as play posits, if I've introduced Microsoft Teams yet or not. My guess is that I have, but I probably have expectations for your bell work and what to do and so forth. So make sure you have your bell work completed and we will get started. So which does not belong? Paper, compass, woodblock printing, or chemistry? Rudder, porcelain, crop rotation, gunpowder? Paper, money, tomatoes, movable type steel. So out of each one of these lists, one of these does not belong. So looking at this yellow group up here, rudder, crop rotation, and gunpowder was all things we look back at the Dark Ages, and porcelain is something we're going to be looking at today. So that one is the one that does not belong. So, and that's also review. We probably looked at the China advancements already, or we will look at those in the future. All right, so looking at this statue, okay, this one here. What can you assume about this person? If you were going to assume something, I'll have these questions in play posit. What can you assume about this statue? Okay, I would probably assume this guy was a big deal. This guy was important. So he has obviously left a big time legacy wherever and whoever he is. All right, so class activity, we're not doing this, but we just kind of play along like we are. Look at the piece of paper that you've been given. Create the letter that it says out of the blocks. So imagine I give you a piece of paper and some blocks. You're going to create the letter that it says. If you have a star on your paper, you are to conquer everyone in your row in a game of rock, paper, scissors. Okay, so if you had a star on your paper, you are to conquer everyone in your row. Now, everyone in the row will create their letter. After the row is conquered, rearrange the letters to form a 4-letter word and a 5-letter word. So again, we're not doing this, but just imagine we are. Here is the connection. After the row was conquered, there was a free exchange of ideas to figure out the term. Here's the connection. Genghis Khan, all right, the statue we just looked at. He led the Mongols, who we're going to talk about today, to conquer almost all of Asia, including the Silk Road, and created a peaceful empire where traders could freely travel along the trade routes. Well, Mr. Shutt, how does Genghis Khan, the guy that we heard about in all the movies and everything like that, he was ruthless, but how was he able to create a peaceful empire? Again, he was able to conquer most of all of Asia, all right? So Genghis Khan, Mongols, who we're going to be talking about today. The Silk Road, again, was the series of trade routes that linked Asia, Europe, and Northern Africa. So all of these roads, all of these areas have different resources, different things that they're willing to trade. All right, so if we look over here in the west, by Constantinople, you have wine, you have metalwork. Here kind of in the center of western China, you have camels. You have horses, and then in East China you have silk, hemp, cotton. All of these can be traded along the Silk Road. Who's controlling the Silk Road? The Mongols, Genghis Khan. All right, so read page 193 in your comp book. The Mongols were a nomad, and you won't write all these down, I'll put on play posit which ones you do. The Mongols were a nomadic tribe of people in north of China. Page 194, Genghis Khan was an elected leader of the Mongol people. Formed an army of over 100,000. Now, that's a lot for today, but especially going back to the population back then, that is a heck of a lot of people. 100,000 and fought to conquer lands from his election to his death. All right, the Mongols, they were the most skilled fighting force in the world. They demanded tribute money from people that they conquered. So basically, I'm going to beat you up, and I'm going to take your lunch money. They conquered lands along the Silk Road. So why was it important? They wanted to control that. Mongols were very cruel and sought to terrorize people. So it's one thing if you're going to conquer someone, or one thing if you're going to take over someone. But if you can do it and be a little nasty, terroristic-like, that word starts to get around, that you're kind of just a kind of a jerk. All right, so you're terrorizing people and so forth. All right, many people surrendered without even fighting them. Why? Because they knew what they were getting into. They knew, okay, if I fight them, not only am I going to end up dying, but they might torture me, they might do something along those lines before, so I'm just going to throw in the towel here. Mongols created the largest empire in history. So no matter what history you look at in high school, whether it's American or modern world history, largest empire in history ever, the Mongols. They grew wealthy because they taxed traders in their empire. So this goes back to the Silk Road. Why do they want control of it? They can tax it. They can make money off of it. Genghis Khan's grandson Kublai Khan would eventually conquer China. All right, so looking at the Mongol Empire, okay, think about our country and how big it is. Well, I'm not a math guy, but you could fit a lot of United States in this orange area. So you have most of Asia, all of the Silk Road, almost all of the Silk Road being controlled by the Mongol Empire. The Mongol Empire was the link between China, Asia, and Europe. Mongols learned from the people they conquered and often adopted their beliefs and customs. So they are able to take over people, take over lands, conquer them, but also able to practice what these people, like for example, if they're in a newer territory, remember they're in northern China. So if they go to southern China and they don't know how something works, or they don't know why a certain group of people do things, this is something that they adopted and they can learn, and which made them even stronger going forward. For example, Mongols near the Arabian Peninsula accepted Islam. Mongols near China learned of gunpowder and the firelands. Well, gunpowder is important today as far as like protection and different things like that. So gunpowder back then, if you're trying to conquer someone, very important. All right, significance of the Mongols. Mongol Empire stretched from China to Eastern Europe. They kept peace within their empire. They prospered under Kublai Khan and Mongol rule. Trade increased under Mongol rule. So now, you look at the Mongols and you think, man, they're ruthless, they're terrorizing people, all this stuff. But as far as in the Mongol Empire, times are good. There's money to be made, trade happening, and everybody's getting along. Right? It's crazy how that works out. When money's good, everyone's getting along. Arabian and Europeans took Chinese inventions back to their homelands. So again, this is part of the trade. This is part of being on the Silk Road, having control. All right, so looking at your standards, I can trace the spread of Chinese technology. Printing encompassed in gunpowder. This is all, to other parts of the world, this is all part of the Silk Road. I can discuss the significance of the reopening of the Silk Road and discuss the significance of Marco Polo's and his travels. We will talk about those most likely tomorrow. All right, so the effects of the Mongols, a visual summary. Dark Ages, we talked about. Compass, gunpowder, new things happening in China. Ship making. So now this is able to get us out of the Dark Ages, able to get Europe out of the Dark Ages as well. All right, conclusion questions I will have on Play Posit. So we are finished with the day. If we have started the Microsoft Teams, make sure you are doing that. There may be an assignment in there. If not, there will be an assignment in your Play Posit. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. Make sure we are following all expectations. Have a great day.